The piercing wails echoed through the dense Montana wilderness like a child's desperate cry for help. Wildlife photographer Jake Morrison had been tracking elk through the Rocky Mountain forest when the haunting sound stopped him dead in his tracks. 20 years of documenting nature had prepared him for many things, but nothing could have prepared him for what he was about to discover, or the shocking chain of events that would follow. Deep in a ravine, partially hidden beneath fallen branches and debris, lay a black bear cub no bigger than a golden retriever puppy. Its fur was matted with blood, one tiny paw twisted at an unnatural angle, and tears streaming down its small snout as it cried out in agony. But this wasn't just any injured animal. This was evidence of something far more sinister happening in these protected lands. Jake's hands trembled as he reached for his camera, knowing he needed to document everything. The cub couldn't be more than 4 months old, far too young to survive on its own. As he crept closer, his heart sank. Fresh tire tracks scarred the earth nearby, and scattered around the ravine were empty beer cans and cigarette butts. This wasn't an accident or natural predator attack. This was the aftermath of something much worse. The little cub, whom Jake would later name Hope, had become the unintentional witness to a brutal poaching operation that had been terrorizing the greater Yellowstone ecosystem for months. Her mother and 2 siblings had been killed by a notorious gang of illegal hunters who had been selling bear gallbladders and paws on the black market for thousands of dollars each. Hope had survived only because she had been thrown into the ravine, left for dead when the poachers thought she wouldn't make it. But Hope was tougher than anyone imagined. As Jake carefully lifted her broken body, she looked up at him with eyes that seemed to hold both immense pain and an inexplicable trust. In that moment, Jake made a decision that would not only save Hope's life, but ultimately bring down an entire criminal network that had been operating with impunity for years. Racing against time, Jake drove the 3 hours to the nearest wildlife rehabilitation center, calling ahead to alert veterinarian Dr. Emily Chen. Hope's condition was critical. She had a shattered front leg, 3 broken ribs, internal bleeding, and severe dehydration. The odds of survival were less than 30%, but Dr. Chen had never seen such fighting spirit in such a small creature. "She wants to live," Dr. Chen whispered as she worked through the night, performing delicate surgery to repair Hope's tiny bones. "I've never seen anything like it. Every time her vitals would drop, she'd somehow pull through." While Hope fought for her life in the intensive care unit, Jake was fighting his own battle. The photographs he had taken weren't just documentation of animal cruelty. They were evidence of federal crimes. The tire tracks, the beer cans, even the specific location where Hope was found, all pointed to a coordinated poaching operation on protected federal land. Jake contacted Special Agent Linda Patterson of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, a tough-as-nails investigator who had been tracking the same poaching ring for over a year. The evidence Jake provided was the breakthrough she had been desperately seeking. The tire tracks in his photos matched a vehicle that had been spotted near 3 other poaching sites. The cigarette butts contained DNA that would later link to known criminals with records for wildlife trafficking. "This little cub might just be the key to stopping these monsters," Agent Patterson said, studying the photographs with intensity. "They've killed over 40 bears in the past 8 months, and we haven't been able to get close to them until now." As the investigation intensified, Hope's recovery became a symbol of resilience that captured the attention of people worldwide. Jake shared her story on social media, and soon thousands of people were following her progress. Donations poured in from around the globe to support not just Hope's medical care, but the broader fight against wildlife poaching. 3 weeks into her recovery, Hope took her first wobbly steps on her newly healed leg. The moment was captured on video and shared across the internet, bringing tears to millions of viewers. But the real breakthrough came when she began to play. A sign that her spirit hadn't been broken despite the trauma she had endured. Meanwhile, Agent Patterson's team was closing in on the poaching ring. Using the evidence from Hope's rescue site, they had identified the leader, a man named Robert "Bull" Thompson, who had been running illegal hunting operations across multiple states. Thompson and his crew had made millions selling bear parts to buyers in overseas markets, where they were falsely marketed as traditional medicine. The operation to capture Thompson's gang was planned with military precision. Using GPS coordinates from Jake's photos and surveillance equipment, agents tracked the poachers to their next planned hunting site. On a cold November morning, as Thompson and his crew prepared to kill another bear family, federal agents surrounded them. "Federal agents, drop your weapons!" The arrest was swift and decisive. Thompson and 6 of his associates were taken into custody, along with enough evidence to put them away for decades. In their vehicles and storage facilities, agents discovered over 200 bear gallbladders, dozens of paws, and detailed records of their illegal sales network that stretched from Montana to Hong Kong. But perhaps the most shocking discovery was a handwritten ledger that revealed the true scale of their operation. Over the past 3 years, Thompson's gang had killed over 300 bears across 7 states, generating over $2.3 million in illegal profits. Each entry in the ledger represented not just a number, but a family destroyed, cubs orphaned, and an ecosystem thrown out of balance. During the trial, Hope's story became central to the prosecution's case. Now fully recovered and thriving at the Wildlife Center, she had become a living symbol of what these criminals had tried to destroy. Videos of her playing, climbing, and interacting with their human caregivers were shown to the jury, putting a face on the countless victims of wildlife trafficking. Jake testified about finding Hope, his voice breaking as he described her condition and the evidence of the brutal attack on her family. Dr. Chen testified about the extensive injuries and the miracle of Hope's recovery. Agent Patterson presented the mountain of evidence that connected Thompson's gang to dozens of other poaching incidents. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. Thompson was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison and ordered to pay $1.8 million in restitution. His associates received sentences ranging from 8 to 15 years. The judge called it one of the most extensive and destructive wildlife trafficking operations in modern history. But the story doesn't end with the convictions. Hope's rescue sparked a nationwide campaign for stronger wildlife protection laws. The Hope Act, named in her honor, increased penalties for wildlife trafficking and provided additional funding for anti-poaching operations. Her story inspired a new generation of wildlife protectors and conservationists. Today, Hope lives at a specialized bear sanctuary in Alaska, where she serves as an ambassador for her species. Visitors from around the world come to see the little cub who survived the unthinkable and helped bring justice to those who had terrorized wildlife for years. She's grown into a magnificent adult bear, healthy and strong, playing and swimming with other rescued bears who have become her chosen family. Jake continues his work as a wildlife photographer, but now he also serves as a special consultant to law enforcement agencies, using his skills to help document and investigate wildlife crimes. The photographs he took that day in the Montana wilderness didn't just save one life, they helped protect countless others. Hope's story proves that sometimes the smallest victims can create the biggest change. From a broken cub crying in a ravine to a symbol of justice and resilience, Hope's journey reminds us that every life matters and that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when they choose to act with courage and compassion. Her recovery wasn't just about healing physical wounds. It was about healing the damage done to an entire ecosystem and ensuring that future generations of wildlife will be protected from those who would exploit them for profit. If Hope's incredible story of survival and justice moved you as much as it moved us, please hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing true animal rescue stories. Every like and share helps us spread awareness about wildlife conservation and the incredible people working every day to protect our planet's most vulnerable creatures. Together, we can make sure that stories like Hope's have happy endings.